Ben Woodruff here, and I'm very excited about today's video. I'm going to be talking about my favorite species of hawk to fly, the Cooper's hawk. Cooper's hawks are a small North American bird of prey, and I'm going to talk a little bit about their biology and talk about some advice on if you actually want to train one in the sport of falconry. Now, to understand a Cooper's hawk, you have to understand two families of hawks that occur here in North America. We have the bootios and we have the accipiters. Now, bootios are the soaring hawks. A red-tailed hawk is probably the quintessential bootio, a big, broad-winged soaring bird that is either gliding or perching, scanning around an open country, looking for typically rodents to hunt. The accipiters are the true hawks, or the forest hawks. These are birds with very short, rounded wings and a super long tail to give them extreme speed and agility. Having this kind of speed allows them to go through dense brush, and they're typically hunting birds, bird hunters. Now, we have three accipiters in North America. We have the goshawk, the Cooper's hawk, and the sharp-shinned hawk. All three of these birds, their first year have the exact same markings, basically. They're sort of brown and tan streaked. They almost look kind of like a leopard. Very beautiful. And the only way you could really tell the difference in their first year colors between of these species is the size difference. Goshawks are the largest, Coopers are in the middle, sharp-shinned hawks are the smallest. But their second year of life, their colors radically change. So goshawks, being the largest, they get sort of a gray overall coloring, a gray head and back, maybe a black cap, white above each eye, gray streaking on the chest. Very, very distinct. Cooper's hawks turn red on their chest with like thick red barring, and their back turns grayish, bluish brown. Their head, black cap, white brow over each eye. And sharp-shinned hawks kind of look like a toned-down version of an adult Cooper's hawk. They have the red as well, but it's not as distinct, and they don't have the brow ridge over each eye. Now, after their second year, in addition to these colors, all three of these species will get eyes that turn deeper and deeper blood red. So the redder the eyes typically is an indication of an older, more experienced species. Okay, Cooper's hawks being right in the middle. They're amazing in what they can hunt. Anything from a sparrow all the way up to like a pheasant or a duck. Now, people who fly Cooper's hawks are not typically pursuing prey as large as a pheasant or a duck, but they're definitely capable of catching and tackling prey that big. They would just require a little bit of help on the part of the trainer to help dispatch the prey quickly. So you would think with a bird that has that range where really quail and partridge, they're the perfect size bird of prey to use to hunt quail and partridge. You'd think that they'd be the most popular bird of prey in America, especially because they're very common. They occur in about every state, and they're very easy to find, and they train fairly quickly. So why not? Well, turns out the Cooper's hawk is a complicated species, and it's not a beginner's bird. So there's many considerations to be made. Now, before I share these with you, I want to acknowledge falconers are a diverse group of people all over the world. Everybody has different ideas on the best training techniques, and I respect that. Do what works for you that is effective and has the bird happy and healthy. I'm going to share just a few points with you that have made a big difference in having success with Cooper's hawks for me. I've trained males and females. I've trained birds that I've imprinted from a young age, or birds that I've caught migrating as a passage bird or a first-year bird. And across the board, these principles I want to share will give you some success. So my first piece of advice is, if you want to fly a Cooper's hawk, fly a sharp-shinned hawk or a goshawk first. Goshawks and sharp-shinned hawks are a lot more forgiving, and they give you an eye direct view into the mind of an accipiter, which better prepares you than for flying a Cooper's hawk. So if you can afford to do that, I would recommend you fly one of those two species before attempting a Cooper's hawk. Weight management. With all birds of prey, this is a crucial point, but with Cooper's hawks, you must be religious about that weight management. Because of that, I always keep my Cooper's hawks indoors. I do not house them in an outdoor mew. I have them on a perch in my house. It does make them more social, but more importantly, you now have control over the temperature. without wild fluctuations, and it is much easier to pinpoint and hone in your weight management if you keep the bird indoors. That can be bad. Birds poop. Well, Cooper's hawks slice. Slicing is when you shoot a gross long stream, so you have to have a huge area dedicated to bird poop. Nobody likes that. But if you want to have success with the Cooper's hawk, I highly recommend keeping them indoors. Next thing, you pretty much have to hunt every day. These birds, Cooper's hawks, need to hunt. Not just every day, oh, we went out and we caught a quail, very good. No, you need to keep hunting and doing multiples. It's in their system. It's what they're built to do. They can get agitated and fidgety if you don't give them enough time. So if you can't at least commit to 5 days a week with a Cooper's hawk, you probably would be better to hunt a species that is not so intense. Because of that, I also tell people, if you want to fly a Cooper's hawk, I don't recommend you fly any other bird. Just have one bird, have it be a Cooper's hawk, give it all your attention. You'll have a lot more success. Also, any behavioral problems that do creep up, I highly recommend that you remember a lot of them can be smoothed out with more hunting. Take the bird out, let it do what it does in the wild, and that helps smooth things out. I recommend that you find a falconer who has already trained a Cooper's hawk and have them be kind of a Cooper's hawk specific version of a sponsor. Somebody you can ask questions and say and troubleshoot with and bounce ideas off of. You will find it so helpful. Don't just go to online groups and say, oh, I'm just going to chat with the world. Actually find a person who can help you. You will need it. Now, if you've trained birds already, you have to understand, we always make little training errors that maybe cause a bird not to trust you as much. And if you're flying a red-tailed hawk or a Harris hawk or even a goshawk to some degree, they're fairly forgiving. Cooper's hawks will not forgive you. So there might be little training mistakes you've been making along the way and never known it with your other birds. And the Cooper's hawk lets you know by grabbing your face or something. I mean, they really hold grudges and they do not forgive easily. So trust is vital with an accipiter. They have switches, I call them, on-off switches, where body language will tell you and it's extreme. On one hand, take a look at this picture. There's two Cooper's hawks. The male in the picture is happy. His wings are drawn up. He's doing good. He's in a good mood. This is a bird you could hold with your bare hand with no problem. The female next to him, she is about ready to kill anybody who approaches her. And if she lifted her wings and changed her body position, you'd be like, okay, now I can hold her with my bare hand. It is good to talk to somebody who understands the on-off switches of accipiters and tells you how to read them. Doing that allows you to know and not make the mistake of entering in on a lure or on a kill too quickly and losing the trust you've built. So I definitely recommend that. Don't feed them off the fist very much. Feeding off the fist is a way to build trust with a bird, but if you do it too often with a Cooper's hawk, they become, their mindset changes and they think, hey, this glove is something that I killed. I need to mantle over it and be aggressive. And if anybody comes, like you, going to grab the jesses, and then they grab you and you're bleeding and they're binding to you and it's really not good. So don't feed them off the fist very much. If they're not trusting you and you see that trust waning, you can bump that up a little. With an accipiter, again, this is my opinion. I know other people train different techniques. They might disagree. The bird is never fully trained. It is a dance. Okay? You have to understand that your weight management, you're gonna learn, okay, I'm cutting the weight down a little and getting them in shape. Oh, now it's getting colder outside. I'm gonna build the weight up. The training technique, I'm gonna put a little bit of food on the lure. Oh, they're not that interested. I'm gonna put more food on the lure. Oh, they're too aggressive over the lure. I'm gonna go back to putting a little food on the lure. It is a constant dance to try to dial in that hawk, the training, the mentality, the weight management. You will never arrive. So don't get sloppy and think, well, they're doing what they should at this weight and I'm putting this much food on the lure, we're good. Don't. Or you're going to screw up. Your bird's going to not trust you. Just always remember that those crosshairs of a quote-unquote dialed-in bird, you're never going to achieve. You just have to dance with it. Very important to remember that. So, All of these things, these are very good principles, but I recommend you read as much as you can. Two of my favorite books on accipiters are both written by Mike McDermott. They're The Imprint Accipiter and Accipitrine Behavioral Problems. You can find both of those at westernsporting.com. Western Sporting Publications, they produce those. They're not doctrine, but they have amazing principles. So you don't have to follow it 100%, but the information in them books, I highly recommend. Go buy those books, read up on them, and have a better understanding into the mind of an accipiter. Well, I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit, sort of an intro to Cooper's Hawks. I'm going to try to do some videos filming them in action so you can see the hunting style of this amazing predator. Get your ducks in a row if you really want to fly one. Make sure you do it right. And again, I consider this to be the most difficult hawk to train properly. So make sure you do it right. You'll have a lot of fun, a lot of success. As always, check out the rest of my falconry videos here on YouTube and let me know what other videos you would like me to produce and teach about. Thanks for watching.